All right, our next two countries are Germany and Poland. So label those on your map. Obviously, both of these have a similar past with World War II, the Holocaust. Again, more Jews were killed in Poland than actually in Germany. And so with this sort of history, there was a united Germany, and then after World War II, of course, as kind of a punishment, if you would, to Germany for trying to take over most of the European continent, Stalin from the Soviet Union really pushed that it be split in half to East Germany and West Germany. And so Germany definitely was split in half. Literally, a wall was put up in the middle of the day, and then that wall got bigger, better. They actually put two walls, so you had kind of a buffer zone in between them. Lots of people killed while trying to escape East Germany. East Germany was controlled by the Soviet Union, and West Germany was controlled by the Allies, the United States, the United Kingdom, and France. And there was a wall, there was a separate Germany until early November 1989. And so watch the video that is linked as well on the Canvas page about the wall. All right, our next locations are all of the extremely small ones. You can see they're all circled in red. So the furthest north is Luxembourg. And again, if you want to put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then label it down below in that space on your map, that would be a good idea, because the smaller the country, the bigger the name. So the first one is Luxembourg. That's the furthest north. Then the one kind of southeast of that is Liechtenstein. And then the far west one is Andorra. And then going along the Mediterranean Sea, you can see that is Monaco. And then there are two that are actually in Italy. The one further north is San Marino. The one on the west coast of the boot of Italy is the Vatican City. And south of the island of Sicily is Malta. All right, so these small European countries, some of them aren't even really considered to be countries. They are autonomous regions, and they kind of do their own thing, but they're not necessarily countries in the sense of what you and I expect for a country. Now, let's put this into perspective. Iowa is 56,700 square miles. The biggest one out of all of these small ones we just labeled is Luxembourg at 998 square miles. Andorra is next, and they are significantly smaller at 181 square miles. Then the island of Malta at 124, Liechtenstein at 62 square miles, San Marino is only 24 square miles, Monaco is just under 1 square mile, which is about the same size as Dysart. And the smallest is 0.17 square miles, and that is Vatican City. And of course, Vatican City is actually a region, a walled-in portion within the city of Rome, which is the capital of Italy. All right, so Andorra. It is nestled between France and Spain in the Pyrenees Mountains, and most of what it has going for it as far as economy is tourism. Of course, in the winter, snow skiing, but they also have hiking and biking and other things that they do in the summer months. But basically, it is tourism because it's in the Pyrenees Mountains. San Marino is that small region in northern Italy, and it is considered to be a European microstate, and it was founded in 301 AD. It has one of the oldest written constitutions that were written in the 1600s, and they still use it. And this is a view of the entire country / microstate of San Marino. All right, the Vatican City, like I said, it's in the city of Rome, which is the capital of Italy. It is actually a walled-in portion of the city, and the only way you can get into this is through St. Peter's Square. Famous things in St. Peter's Square are St. Peter's Basilica, which is an active Catholic church, which is the home to the Pope, and the Sistine Chapel, which has the painted ceilings. The thing that the Vatican City has going for it is that it is basically the founding location, the home of Catholicism, and it is, again, where Christianity began during the Roman Empire, and as I mentioned earlier, it's where the Pope lives. So it is definitely a unique tourist location. Monaco is considered to be a principality, and it is small. Remember, it's less than 1 square miles. And they have a grand casino, which is not just your regular run-of-the-mill casinos like we have around here, but it is well known for having high-stake gamblers. When I was in Monaco, there was actually a yacht there in the harbor that had a label on it, and it said the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So the Prince of Saudi Arabia was there, and it costs lots of money just to get into the casino, let alone to gamble. And there aren't things like penny slots like we have around here. When we were there, we saw somebody gambling with markers, which are not chips, which are smaller quantities. The markers are about the size of like your cell phone, and they are worth 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100,000. So they were betting stacks of those on roulette. I did gamble, but I just did the slot machines, and I wasn't quite so lucky. The Monte Carlo. Monaco is also known for the Monte Carlo Grand Prix race. There is no racetrack in Monaco. It is done right on the city streets. You can see in that picture below there. So you're using the Formula One racing cars, and they set up bleachers and barriers, and they go through tunnels and hairpin turns and so forth throughout the area of Monaco. Monaco, although it's small, it is very mighty. It has lots of money, and many people try to have a residency in Monaco because they don't have to pay income tax, and so a lot of wealthy people have homes. But to be considered to be this a permanent residence, you have to show that you live there at least 6 months of the year. All right, next one is France. I would say out of all the countries in Europe, that might be one you've heard of, and maybe you even could identify on a map before we started. Of course, the most iconic piece of architecture in Paris is the Eiffel Tower. It was built for the 1889 World's Fair, and it was actually intended to be taken down after the World Fair. And of course, it was named after the guy that constructed it, the architect. And they liked it so much that they left it up, and now there's a city ordinance that said you cannot build buildings or skyscrapers taller than the Eiffel Tower. There might be buildings already constructed, but that was pre-ordinance or law that was passed. The Eiffel Tower is not only iconic, but they use it a lot of times for a lot of messages, or because it's so well known. They, like for example, in 2015 when 130 people were killed by terrorists in the Charlie Hebdo attacks, they lit up the Eiffel Tower in the colors of the French flag. Another iconic piece of architecture is the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe is in the center of several cities, and that's at the end of the main city of Champs-Élysées. There is a roundabout around it, and you can go to the top of the Arc de Triomphe, and you have this spiral staircase inside that you would go up several hundred steps and get at the top and kind of have an aerial view of the city. Below the arch is the eternal flame for people that were killed, for soldiers that were killed, the Eternal Flame, and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier as well. And so that is iconic in France as well. Now, connecting France to the UK is something called the Channel. And the Channel is this underground and underwater tunnel that was dug underneath the English Channel. So there's where it gets its name, because it's a tunnel under the English Channel. So that's where they get channel. That you can take a train to travel back and forth. You don't need to take ferries. There is no bridge connecting the island with the United Kingdom on it and France. And so they dug this tunnel underneath. So please watch that video as well. That is on Canvas. All right, the next one, Spain and Portugal. At the end there of the Iberian Peninsula. Spain and Portugal. Spain is only a few miles away from Africa. If you see here, the Strait of Gibraltar is this strait right here connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea, and that's roughly 10 miles away from Morocco on the continent of Africa. So you can kind of see across from one continent to the next. Again, depending on where you're measuring, anywhere from 8 to 13 miles, and you would go across the Strait of Gibraltar. There has been talk and discussion and negotiations about a possible bridge or tunnel like the channel I just talked about that would connect the two continents. And actually there is, discussion, but there really hasn't been a lot of work with it. It was supposed to be done by 2025 and it's already 2021, so it has not happened yet. The bridge they're finding is difficult because the water is so deep. So to have the columns to support the bridge, it's extremely deep. They also are having a hard time digging a tunnel underneath like they did between France and the United Kingdom, because you can see here the soil is much more rocky, and so it's more difficult to dig through than underneath the English Channel. Spain is famous for two artists, Salvador Dali and Pablo Picasso. I would say Pablo Picasso probably is more famous than Salvador Dali, but both of them are from Spain. And the two paintings on the left with the kind of melting or drooping clocks are two iconic paintings of Salvador Dali. Pablo Picasso is more an abstract artist, and you can kind of make out what these pictures are of, but they aren't really anything. They're like little shapes that kind of connect to make a drawing. And again, both of these artists are well known from Spain. All right, Bulgaria and Albania. Bulgaria and Albania. Bulgaria was founded in 681 AD and is one of the oldest states of Europe that was established again in the early 7th century. Albania is primarily an agricultural country, and it is considered to be one of the poorest countries in Europe. If you just look at this particular list of the poorest countries, Bulgaria is 10, Montenegro is 9, Serbia is 8, Belarus is 6, North Macedonia is 6, Bosnia is 5th, Albania is 4th, Kosovo is 3rd, Moldova is 2nd, and Ukraine is 1. Now, the logic behind this is a lot of these countries were either part of the former Soviet Union or controlled by the Soviet Union, and so they're kind of new, and so they really didn't have an established economy because they were controlled by the Soviet Union for so long, but they are kind of new countries or small countries in Europe. All right, so reviewing all of the countries that we have done so far, all of these places should be labeled on your map as we labeled all of these going together. So make sure that you have all of those labeled.